Hello, I'm Madison Shakespeare, a First Nations saltwater woman from the east coast of Australia. I am an Indigenous Solutionist. As a solutionist, I seek to find ways to harness climate change immediately, ways to redress pervasive global climate ill health that is detrimental to the well-being of every human being and every life form on and beyond this planet. I seek long-term strategies that realise the good health and holistic well-being of our planet. Whilst we need immediate solutions now to slow down and halt the current catastrophic demise of the environmental health of our planet, we need these short-term actions to be more than stopgap measures that merely appease policy directions and targets of the political parties of the day. We must focus on long-term solutions that offer genuinely meaningful and practical ways to halt the global environmental crises that currently affect everyone and everything in the world now. Without a focused view on the longevity and perpetuity of planetary well-being, our children, their children, and all future generations will be unwell and suffer profound ongoing detriment that has already begun. I've had many people ask me if there is a difference between being an Indigenous solutionist or an Indigenist solutionist. As a First Nations person with an unfettered commitment to custodianship and care of our natural environment, or as we call it, country, I seek to find innovative ways in our contemporary society to implement First Nations-led strategic approaches that will make meaningful changes occur in support of the well-being of our shared natural environment. Therefore, I seek to attain the perpetuity of global planetary health. This means I am an Indigenous person finding solutions to look after country. However, as a First Nations person, I live in a country that was invaded and colonised. Our country was invaded and colonised. So intentionally seeking to implement First Nation-led approaches that privilege Indigenous knowledges and practices to care for country make me one of the many Indigenist Solutionists. Significantly, though, it is imperative that all understand that I do not seek to privilege First Nations-led knowledges and practices merely as a political stunt or stance and/or just as an act of defiance against colonisation. Rather, I look to the proven strengths of Indigenous ways of caring for our shared natural environment to ensure the holistic well-being of everyone and everything that relies upon it. Advocating for and implementing First Nations-led strategic approaches that redress the ill treatment of our natural environment to attain a healthy country is a liberating, emancipatory approach that realises profound reciprocity. Scientific evidence attests to the benefits that are realised when Australian First Nations knowledges govern how our natural environment must be cared for. I look to our place-based practices that have ensured the continuous flourishing perpetuity of our First Nations peoples as communities for over 2,300 generations. This empirical evidence implicitly reveals the value and benefits of our transgenerational land care practices that are explicitly focused on environmental sustainability. Are these not the knowledges and practices that should lead all discussions now? Discussions that affect the same environments that we have cared for across at least 65,000 years. In Australia, European practices represent less than 0.3% of the time that human beings have been living on country. And yet, some 235 years after Europeans invaded and came to Australia, we've seen gross pollution of our natural waterways as a result of contaminants that include microplastics, rubber, chemicals. We experience extensive detriment of land and sea from contamination from substances like PFAS foam. There has been irretrievable harm occur on country as a result of nuclear and atomic testing that occurred 65 years ago, but that will affect country and community for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of years into the future. Whilst Indigenous peoples globally have diverse and different place-based knowledges, beliefs and practices about our own unique natural environments, our different cultural and spiritual obligations are still commonly focused on ensuring and maintaining the health of Mother Earth, through which to realise the holistic well-being of country and community. With this focus on care of our natural environment across Indigenous peoples globally, it is essential that our diverse, proven ways to care for our shared natural environment are harnessed as strategic ways to realise the longevity and perpetuity of our planet now and in the future. Therefore, it is essential that as COP is the supreme decision-making body of the Convention on Climate Change, Indigenous peoples from around the world not only be involved at this annual United Nations conference, but that there is, at the very least, an Indigenous co-president of COP. Whilst COP28 currently reports on seeking to advance efforts to strengthen local communities and Indigenous peoples' leadership, knowledge, technology practices, and ways of living to address climate change, there is still insufficient nexus being realised in the benefits that Indigenous custodianship of our shared natural environments offer whole populations. My Indigenist Solutionist approach asserts the value of sovereign knowledges and practices surrounding care of Mother Earth. It offers well-proven strategic ways of advancing care of our shared natural environments to ensure the holistic well-being of every human being and every living aspect of our planet. This is a well-proven, strengths-based way to approach a dire situation. First Nations peoples must co-lead COP from the top. Thank you.